Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
You have the power to stop bullying.
Speak up.
Speak out.
Educate. Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference.
Bullying isn't kids being kids.
It's not about good homes or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up.
I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Or to walk to my locker.
Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
We have the power to stop bullying.
By definition, bullying is persistent, offensive, abusive, intimidating, or insulting behavior, abuse of power, or unfair punishment which upsets, threatens, and/or humiliates the recipients, undermining their self-confidence, reputation, and ability to perform. Bullying has become a widespread epidemic that is greatly affecting our society. Every 7 seconds in this world, a child is bullied. Today, we will be joining bullying experts, as well as children and adults affected by bullying, as we explore different forms of this growing epidemic, including bullying in schools, bullying in the workplace, and the most current form of bullying, cyberbullying. We hope you will join us today in our quest to spread awareness of the dangers of bullying, as well as present possible solutions to stop bullying today. Curtis Sliwa, anti-crime activist and founder and CEO of the Guardian Angels, expresses his thoughts on the mindset of bullies.
I myself have been bullied in my life growing up, and no matter how terrible it gets, you don't want to be considered a rat who's eating Parmesan cheese. So even when you're just a young little whippersnapper, there's that notion of a rat. Now I teach the Guardian Angels in reverse. I say, yeah, you tell them when they say, oh, you ratted us out, you say, doggone well. And we went back for a second piece of Parmesan cheese, because if we rat out the bad, then we won't have the problems that we have nowadays. By not ratting you out, by not sort of vetting out the bad, it allows them to prosper, to empower themselves, and a very small few can control the quality of life for the majority, who are law-abiding, who want peace, and who don't want to tread on other people's rights. And most of the bullies I've run across never want to leave their fingerprints on their bullying work. They try to manipulate others to do the bullying, and then they sit back like the cat who just swallowed Tweety Bird, and they get a vicarious thrill out of that. So I pointed out the different types of bullying that exist, and how you must extricate the bully, no matter who they are, from the mass. And then if you want to work and deprogram the bully of their bullying ways, that's fine. But you can't do it while mixing them in, because they have such charisma, they have such a power of will over the others who are weaker than themselves at that point in their life, that they will overwhelm them.
16-year-old high school student Unique Mendez expresses the devastating emotional effects that bullying can have on someone.
My 8th grade year is when everything for me went downhill. It was one day in the lunchroom where I was sitting down with a group of friends, and I had gotten up and I had a red stain on the back of my pants. I thought I sat in ketchup, and one of my friends made me aware of what was on me. When I went to the bathroom, I found out that it was not what I thought it was. That day I went home, called my mom, and she picked me up. The next day, coming back into school was like a movie, totally different from what I was used to. Walking down the hallways, nobody wanted to say hi to me, nobody wanted to talk to me, nothing. It was like I was completely invisible to everyone. When gym class was going on, the kids started calling me disgusting, they started calling me nasty, they started telling me that I was a slut and I was a hoe for reasons that I couldn't understand, because I had never done anything to these students. Today, I haven't even overcome it. I'm not at a stage where I can look at myself in the mirror and say, wow, like, this person is really beautiful. I can't say that anymore, and I want to really bad. I want to be able to look at myself and say, wow, like, that person has been through a lot, and she is strong, and she is beautiful, and I can't say that about myself at all.
Dana Malave, today 40 years old, reflects back on her childhood experience as a student who witnessed bullying firsthand, but chose not to intervene. She shares her experience with the hope that others faced with a similar bullying situation will do more to help.
When I was in high school, there was a group of kids that I hung out with. I always tended to hang out with a popular crowd, and there was a particular girl that she had just caught abuse pretty much from elementary all the way through high school, and I hung out with this group that just verbally abused her. I was no better because I didn't stop it, and I was not an active part in it. I remember walking home from school in high school one day, and she was in front of us, and the girls just started kicking her, and she went home with footprints on her back. And I remember that particular day didn't sit well with me, but it didn't stop me from spending time with these girls. If they were individuals, they were different people than when we spent time together as a group. It's almost like they fed off each other's negativity, and it just grew and festered into something ugly. It got to the point where this girl wanted to kill herself, and I remember getting called into the guidance counselor's office in high school that she had gotten an order of protection against some of these girls. And it bothered me then that I still didn't say or do anything, and I continued to hang out with these girls. And I don't know to this day what effect this had on this particular person, but for myself, it never sat well with me. So after I became a mother, I looked her up because we have this wonderful technology, and I wrote her a letter telling her that I was sorry for not stopping it.
Daryl DMC McDaniels, one of the pioneers of hip-hop culture and founding member of the hip-hop supergroup Run DMC, shares his experience of having once been a victim of bullying. He is now a voice to those being bullied today.
Growing up as a kid, I went to Catholic school my whole life. I was a straight-A kid, considered one of those brainiacs. I was the kid that was always reading comic books, and, people, the other kids in my neighborhood thought I was weird. You know what I'm saying? I went to Catholic school, so I kind of was a mark, because when you go to Catholic school, the public school kids, they wore their regular clothes. I had to wear a white shirt with a tie, with the blue pants, with the shoes. I had my glasses, and I was different. And it was getting my lunch taken from me. It was getting my money taken from me. Your parents are rich because they pay for you to go to school, run it. And I'm giving away all my stuff. And, to the point where, some of the kids in my Catholic school, because they knew I was smart, they would make me do their homework. But what I would advise the kids now is, as soon as it happened, go tell somebody. Go tell somebody with the authority to bring it to people's attention immediately. Whether it's your older brother, whether it's your parents, whether it's a teacher you trust. You don't want to go. What we don't need to do is have a kid tell us that, and then have somebody say, give us time to investigate. We know you need time to investigate, but what would help that kid getting bullied, and what would put a wrench in the bullyer's game, is to say, who did this? Show me him now. You got to do it right now, so at least when that kid goes home and you're doing your investigation, the kid that did the bullying know he's in trouble. But also, don't hold in what you're feeling. Sit with somebody that you trust. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to vent, vent. If you feel like you need to go take some karate to go defend yourself. But most kids that get bullied, it takes too long for us to react to the situation, and a lot of kids don't even go tell nobody. So it's a continuous cycle. It's a continuous cycle that we need to address immediately.
As a society, we most often associate bullying with children in school. According to the national statistics, 160,000 children miss school every day in America due to the fear of being bullied. Such was the case for country music star Morgan Fraser, whose parents pulled her out of school because of bullying. and instead decided to homeschool the young singer. In response to her bullying experience, Morgan wrote a song titled Hey Bully, which has a heartfelt message to bullies nationwide.
Laugh at me like that. Why does it make you feel good? Making me feel so bad. Hey bully.
I was bullied really bad from about 3rd grade to 5th grade. It was terrible for me. Growing up in school, I had warts on my face as a kid, and it was just something that I struggled with.
Hey bully, you're a lot like me.
My mom actually took me out of public school and put me in homeschool because it got so bad.
In the back of the bus, you're a big star, but you took a little joke a little too far. In the headline news says the kids aren't always playing so nice out in the schoolyard. Why you wanna make me cry? You don't even know who I am, and if you gave me half a chance, you just might.
I just ended up in a writer's room with 2 girls, and we sit there and we're writing a completely different song, and you know, we just like ran across this viral video on Facebook.
Yeah.
We were all just playing around on Facebook, and it was a bus monitor being bullied. And I just could not believe it, that she just broke down in tears, and it was just something that touched my heart. And all of a sudden we start talking about our experiences, and then we came out with this Hey Bully song about an hour later.
It would be so easy to hit back at you, use my pain to hurt you too. Oh, but if I do, nothing'll change. I won't be linking your chain.
Every other day we're getting a message saying, you know, some kid has ended their life due to bullying, and that's really why I wanted to write Hey Bully, is so I could be a part of this. And you know, if there's somebody out there that's struggling with it, hopefully we can touch their heart and change their mind about, you know, either hurting themselves or bullying somebody.
Ooh, you're a lot like me. You're a lot like me.
Today, Unique continues her struggle with bullying. It hasn't gotten easier.
When I went to my counselor, she told me to just ignore it. So for that day, I ignored it. Weeks went by, months went by, nothing changed. One of my friends that actually went against me came back and he apologized for what he had done. One of the girls that had started it went back and told him lies about me, and it made him want to rebel more against me. So what he did was, later that night, instead of confronting me about it and asking me if indeed I had said what the girl said that I said, he told me that I should kill myself and cut myself, and that no one likes me, and that I shouldn't be able to even speak in school. After that, I forgot how to socialize. I forgot how to talk to people. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was already a bully to myself, not necessarily to others, but to myself. I was mentally abusing myself and telling myself that I was worthless, that I had nothing going for me at all. I went from being an outgoing person to being depressed and not wanting to do anything.
Unique is not alone in her struggle with bullying. Here are some students who wanted to share their stories.
I was in 1st grade and I walked into the bathroom, and 3 4th graders started pushing me and saying, "What's my name?" And I kept telling them what's my name, and they still didn't care, and they kept pushing me until my mom came in, and she told them to get out, and then it was addressed to the teachers and finally to the principal, and they never bothered me mostly again.
This girl suddenly shouted that I was being bossy, and then she hated that, and she's when she pointed at me and she said that I was being bossy, I yelled back at her sarcastically, saying thank you, and the girl got so mad that she attacked me. She started grabbing my hair, and at that time I was doing karate. I was confident that I could protect myself, but at that time I was thinking that there was this another girl who got attacked, and she fought back and she got in trouble. I was thinking of that time, and then I thought that if I fought back against that girl, would I get in trouble too? And so I didn't fight back, but my friends protected me. And then after that, I was shocked because I did not know that I was ever gonna be bullied.
This kid, I was at recess, and he would put his hands on me when he was running. He'd push me out of the way, and then I told him to stop, and then he did it again, and then I got a little annoyed, so I had to tell my parents about it, because if this kid did something bad to me, I wouldn't like that. So I told my parents, and one of the teachers told him to stop pushing me with his hands, and he never touched me again.
Coming 4th grade, I decided to do cheerleading. I thought everything was going to be a breeze. 4th grade, cheerleading, just another activity. Then someone decided to bully me, and I kind of took it as a curveball because I never experienced this hardcore of a bully. So I was very, protective of myself. I didn't know what to do. Next year, the bullying still occurred, and I decided to take a change and bring it up to, the head officials of school, the principal, the guidance counselor, the dean, and they ended it. And that sort of didn't impact me, but it did teach me who to trust. I'd rather be outspoken than hide in a corner and not say what I really want to say to others.
It is important to find ways to stand up to bullies. Don Boyd sought out a form of self-defense after experiencing bullying as a child.
When I was a young kid, I used to get bullied a lot, and because I was a very timid type of child. I wasn't stocky or anything. I was kind of an average build, and we had bullies in the neighborhood, and we would get picked on quite a lot. And this one guy in particular who was much larger than I was, and he used to like to show his prowess, and we would get into a fight. I would usually lose because I wasn't a fighter. At some point I said, enough is enough, and I said I'm not going to accept this anymore. I started taking martial arts at the ripe old age of 16. Bullying has evolved over the years. It's not what it was when I was a kid. It's become much more worse. Back in my day, bullies were individuals. Now they're wolf packs. And usually the bullies, my experience is that most of them are cowards because they travel in packs. And if you can stand up to the leader of the pack, chances are you'll have an opportunity to overcome their ability to bully you.
National statistics reveal that 282,000 students are physically attacked in secondary schools each month. Physical bullying can lead to serious and lasting consequences in a child's life. Dean Dobbins, an anti-bullying activist and karate black belt, shares his bullying experience, which led to a life of teaching martial arts.
When I was 9 years old, I was bullied as a child, and I was in a park playing with my friends, playing football, and a person that I knew, a little bigger than me, we'll call him the town bully. He used to pick on people and find his new prey, and I was his new prey for the day. So he wanted to take my football away from me, and I stood up for myself. I said no. He said, well, give me the football. I said no. And he punched me, knocked me down, and kicked me in my ear. So the bullying lasted from my age 9 to 12 with this same person. Not every single day, but he took his shots at me when he saw me at the park. And I basically had enough, and I went to speak to my parents. I did speak to them when I got hurt. And my father figure, it was my stepfather, he decided to put me into martial arts and said, you're going to take the martial arts like I did, and you're going to learn how to defend yourself against predators like this. So being a martial artist, we are taught, defend yourself if needed. I wasn't a person that liked to hit back, but but I was a person that can defend myself. And the bully came at me one last time, and I defended myself this time. And I did not knock him down like he knocked me down, but I did put him in an arm lock, and we said, "Do you give up? Do you give up?" And he gave up, and the bullying stopped at that point with him. So I showed him that by me standing up to him, I actually stood up for myself and many others that will be bullied in the future.
Well, the martial arts has been good to me. Martial arts has been very good to me. It has helped me create a self-esteem, and that's another thing that's a problem with the younger generation. They may not have great self-esteem for whatever reason, but it has helped me boost my self-esteem. It has helped me boost my physical ability. I've taken a lot of people from knowing nothing to being really good martial artists. And I'm not saying that you take that into the street and say, now you become the bully. I don't want to do that. I don't expect anybody that I teach to go out into the street and now I'm the fastest gun in the West and I'm going to prove it. I expect them to carry themselves the way they would in my class, and I won't accept anything less. When they come into class, like I said, I've taken a lot of students and I've built them to a point of power in their mind. And I believe that again, that carries on to other parts of their life. It carries on with their family, it carries on in their school, and it can carry on into their job later on.
Ever since I joined the martial arts, it showed me a ton of discipline to behave more often, and it just gave me more self-esteem of myself. So if I ever do get into a fight with somebody, I know I can protect myself, defend myself, or if they just not even hit me, I could just walk away. If they're saying something bad about me, just let it go once in a while. You just have to.
What karate had taught me is self-confidence. I attend many events, karate tournaments, and it teaches me to strive the best. Don't handle second best, and if you do get second place, obviously take what life curves at you, but come back stronger and more determined.
Martial arts classes have helped me to gain more self-esteem, and I felt more confident whenever I'm being attacked, and I know what to do when that situation happens again.
Martial artist and anti-bullying spokesperson Dean Dobbins recently wrote a book about his experience confronting bullying firsthand.
The book I wrote is called Stop Bullying Today, a story about a boy's courage. And it starts out about a boy at 9 years old to 12 years old when he was bullied. And it's my story. And the reason why I wrote it, I want youngsters to read a book like this to understand that people do get bullied. And sometimes your friends will walk away from you when you are bullied. And what do you do to not get back at the bully, but how do you confront that bully? And in the story, it speaks about how I was afraid to go to my parents, my friends, even bring it up to my teacher. I didn't want to go to school. And I was brought up in the 70s, and the book's kind of a 70s kind of book, but to understand that I had nurturing parents, but I couldn't go to them because I was afraid if I said I was bullied, maybe I did something wrong.
There is a growing concern among educators regarding the issue of bullying in schools. According to the national statistics, 1 out of 4 children will actually have a plan on how to take their own lives before they graduate high school. Educators Paul Norman and Lizette Rivera voice their concern on the issue of bullying in schools and give some key warning signs parents and teachers can look for in possible victims of bullying.
Some of the signs that I think are obvious for an educator is if a student is academically doing well and all of a sudden their grades start to decline. If a student starts to withdraw from extracurricular activities that they really enjoyed doing. If they were involved in athletics and they no longer want to participate in athletics. Weight loss, you notice a student becoming withdrawn in the face, very tired all the time. They just want to come to school and sleep. So those are warning signs that we try to be in tune with, and then if it's obvious, then we get in touch with the counselors and the administrators and say, I think this individual might have a problem, and then they look into that further. I am aware that people have gone to the extent of suicide because of bullying, and unfortunately in my school we have experienced that. One of our seniors hung himself because he was bullied. He was being harassed because of his nationality and his culture. Okay, he was working in a Catholic high school, and the student was not Catholic, and he was of a different culture. So he was being harassed by certain individuals, but it was not within our school system that he was being harassed. It was outside sources. The sad part about that individual who took his own life was that he didn't feel that he could come to talk to somebody. And I think that that's an important aspect that we have to get across to all the students, that they have to find someone that they're able to confide in, whether it be a friend, a family member, a teacher, an administrator, but they do need somebody that they have to be able to feel comfortable enough to confide in to prevent future tragedies.
Schools are definitely aware that there is a problem from elementary school to middle school to high schools. Currently now I'm in an elementary school, and what's happening is there's several programs that are being funded to start from as early as pre-K to the older grades, which are the 5th graders in an elementary school. Those programs are also being implemented in the middle schools. Starting from elementary school is very important because sometimes once a child gets into middle school, their self-esteem is so low that it's hard to reach those students at that age. And the population in the school buildings are so large that it's very easy for students to go unnoticed.
As an educator, it is important to be aware of the warning signs of bullying. Principal and teacher Monsignor Joseph Calisi also offered his experience and advice regarding bullying in schools.
I've been a priest for 34 years, and 13 of those years I was able to serve in secondary education. I taught for 3 years, and I was a principal and a teacher for another 10. That's why I chose today not to wear my clerical clothing, because I want to speak today specifically from the perspective of an educator. It's important that every teacher build up a sense of trust with their classroom. Very often, kids, if they're having a problem with another student, if they're having a problem at home, the only responsible adult they're going to know of who's going to make them feel safe enough to go and speak out what's going on in their lives is going to be their teacher. I think the first thing any educator has to realize is if a student comes to you and says that he or she is being bullied, the first thing is take them seriously. Don't make them feel even worse about who they are. Make them feel safe, but let them know that they also have to give you specific information that you will use. Let them know that you're not going to let their complaint end just by their telling of it, but that you will bring it to the principal, you will bring it to the administration. If appropriate, you'll bring it to their parents, but that it will go to another authority. That they're not going to finally find the courage to speak the sadness of their truth and then have that fall on deaf ears.
Cyberbullying has become a growing issue for children and teens. According to statistics, about 80% of all high school students have encountered being bullied in some fashion online, and about 35% of teens have actually been threatened online. These numbers are alarmingly high and will most likely increase as the popularity of social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter continue to dominate the internet.
My daughter has been limited to what kind of social networking she's been allowed on the internet, and the minute I did give her the freedom to have some kind of access to socialize on the social networks, it seemed that people with low self-esteems needed to make themselves feel better, so they used my daughter at that expense. When I was reading things like nobody likes you, nobody wants to be around you, nobody thinks you're funny, just things that you wouldn't think are a big deal, but when you mean something to somebody and they don't know where these words are coming from, they become a huge deal. As a parent, you feel helpless. But for myself, I have a very great relationship with my child, so I was over her shoulder reading as this person was typing to her. Makes it hard being a parent and these children being minors for you to address them, but I did. And I let the bully know that I was aware of what was happening, and it stopped.
You feel so alone on your own, you're so scared. I know you can tell, but we all have been there.
remember we were playing basketball, and since I wasn't really good at the sport, the two people who were picking on me that day wanted to guard me during when we were playing basketball. But then it got violent, and in that class, one of them broke my nose. It impacted my self-esteem so much to a point where I wasn't able to tell adults, my mom, teachers, or anyone, because I thought it was my fault.
Don't let them make you cold. Don't throw away your heart of gold. Don't let them in your head. Don't believe the lies they said. Don't let them bring you down. Don't let them push you around. 'Cause you are beautiful.
Shao Montgomery, inspector with the police department, speaks about the dangers of both physical bullying and cyberbullying and possible ways victims can protect themselves.
Hi, I'm an inspector with the MTA Police Department. I've served for 25 years. Some of the assignments that I've had involved with bullying, especially in the bullying areas, I've worked patrol and I've worked the cybercrimes unit as the commanding officer of it. And within my 25 years of experience, I've come across a myriad of cases, whether it was physical bullying right down to the cybercrime bullying. When we deal with bullying on a whole aspect, one of the things we found out is that everybody involved, from the bully itself to the victim itself, has always had a low self-esteem about themselves. And if you are the bully needs other people to feed off of him to actually make him the man that he thinks, or the woman that she thinks that she may be. Now with cyberbullying comes a different venture. You can be a bully without showing your face, and more people get the word I think I'm looking for is machismo. You get more of the attitude to act because the person you're bullying is not physically in front of you, or they can't see the face of the person that's bullying them. And from my experience, and of course dealing with the individual that's being bullied, the first thing is to make someone else aware of that. Now, of course, children have a very difficult time doing that because, face it, they haven't been on this earth before, and the time that they're being bullied, it's something unique, which is why we say that the parents have to have a very open communication with their child. They need to feel that you will listen to them every time they open up their mouth. And you know what sometimes that is? That's sometimes promoting their self-confidence. So parents, if the parents are watching, that's the number one piece of advice that I'm going to say right off the bat. You and your children need to have that harmonious relationship. You've had them since birth, right up to this time period. You should be their best friend.
Bullying in the workplace is a form of bullying that is often overlooked or ignored in our society. Stress, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and low productivity are just some of the effects of this form of bullying. Often, workers never report their bullying experiences due to fear of losing their job and their pride. However, bullying in the workplace is a dangerous issue that needs to be addressed.
Well, bullying comes in various forms. You know, it doesn't always have to be physical. It can be verbal. It can be through intimidation. When I started this job 10 years ago, this particular job, I went in and as the chief engineer, I'm taking over a position where someone had vacated it. I go in to meet the men, and I've got 20 men that I'm addressing. So I went in to explain to them who I was and where I came from. I didn't just fall out of some school or my father is in charge of the building and he gave me a job. I worked my way up from an entry level to a department head, a director of engineering. And I'm addressing these gentlemen, and one guy says, "Well, you're just another suit. You're not going to last. You won't last 6 months." And I said, "You know what? I've been doing this a long time." By that time, I had already been doing it almost 35 years. I said, "I'm doing this a long time, and I can tell you right now that I will be here longer than you." And within 6 months, he was gone. Just because of the way he was, he had to prove something to himself. You know, they try and intimidate through words. They try and intimidate through some kind of stature. And if they don't really think about what they're doing, they're gonna trip themselves up. In this particular case, he did.
Dean Dobbins sat down with host Mickey Burns on Business Profiles to discuss how adults can protect themselves from bullying in the workplace.
Most would assume that most bullying occurs amongst teens. However, I know a lot of adults also get bullied.
Yes. Yes.
Give us some insight on that.
In the workplace.
That's I never.
big issue. People don't see it. I've been part of that. You know.
Have you?
You have a boss who's very vulgar. Mm-hmm. You know, fly in the mouth, they say, and the employee doesn't realize they can go to HR with that and take it to the next level, but they don't because they're scared of their jobs.
Right. I would also think that like sexual advancement or inappropriate sexual activity is also a form of bullying.
Yes, totally.
How does one protect themselves? An adult who is being bullied on the job.
Document everything. That's the biggest thing. You have to document. Write the keywords. If you feel it's really going to the next level, that's why we have these human resource departments. Go to the HR.
Go to HR.
Right.
Share your story.
Yes.
That's another issue. Why are people so resistant to talk about their bullying experience?
People, especially in the workforce, are very scared of their jobs. Economy is the way it is. They don't want to lose their jobs. In schools, some of the kids are scared to go to their parents or the teacher or the principal.
Do they think if they do that the bullying is going to get worse? Is that why they're afraid to go? Or are they afraid that it may make them look weak?
Two-part. They are afraid it's going to get worse because when a bully gets in trouble, he just keeps going. And then you have to put a stop to that. On the flip side, if they go to their parents, maybe their parents might think they're not telling the truth. And unfortunately, sometimes they just have to come forward.
Childhood bullying could often have an effect on a person later on in life. 16-year-old singer Lizzie Sider wrote the song Butterfly to share her experiences with other victims of bullying.
I was teased in my elementary school years, and it was a hard time for me to get through. I would come home crying almost every single day.
And keep inside, afraid to show the world who I was. In shades of gray, I'd spend my days so invisible.
One of the things that would happen is I would love to sing, and so I'd be singing on the playground. And so a group of girls would come up to me and say, "Hey Lizzie, can you sing a song for us?" And I thought, hey, of course, I would love to. And I thought, maybe they're really being nice to me this time. And I would start singing, and they would start laughing at me and running away. When I was in 9th grade, I went to my high school, my new high school, and it was within the first week. And so somehow, word had gotten out that Lizzie Sider is a singer at school. And so I was in my English class, and even though this was years later, classmates said, "Hey Lizzie, can you sing for us? We really want to hear you sing." And I was amazed because in that moment, I was immediately taken back to 2nd and 3rd grade. And I felt this gut feeling like, oh my gosh, what if they make fun of me? What if they laugh at me?
Gonna spread my wings, bright and colorful things. Let them take me up and touch the sky. They thought they knew me, plain and shy, but all along I was.
Last year, I got this idea to really take action and to go into schools and to talk to students, share my experiences, talk to them about bullying, not only that, but positivity and encouragement, and make it a lot of fun. So I wanted to mix in some music, and one of the songs that we sing together, because most of the kids know the song, is my song Butterfly. It's about, my experiences overcoming bullying, but also about anyone who's ever run into any hardship or had to overcome anything big, and just to learn to spread your wings and fly like a butterfly.
It's a butterfly.
But I do hope that in some way this anti-bullying tour will reach students everywhere and parents and teachers everywhere to really empower them to do more, to maybe think next time before they bully somebody.
Research shows that 1 out of 10 teens drop out of school due to bullying. This statistic alone should be enough to shed light on the severity of the epidemic of bullying in our society. It is up to our teachers, parents, and our students to address the issue, raise awareness, and work together to stop bullying today.
Confront a bully. They will back down. They don't know why they're bullies. But when you confront them, they will back down, and it even could become your friend.
Parents also need to be educated so that they can transfer that information over to their children.
It's not cool to be a bully. It's not funny. It's not something that people look up to. You're not looked up to by anyone.
Words are extremely damaging.
We shouldn't dim our light inside of us to make others feel good.
If you pay attention to your surroundings, predators don't want to go after people who can pay attention.
You can't control what other people say or do to you, but you can control how you internalize that.
If someone's being bullied, I would honestly tell them to speak up. Confront the bully first of all. Do not let your mindset hold back of the words you would like to say to a bully.
I'm grateful I'm not that same person anymore, and I definitely don't hang out with people that don't reflect who I am.
I believe you have to have some internal fortitude to be a certain type of person. You can either be weak and follow the crowd, or you can be an individual and live your life the way you want it to be.
Stop bullying today.